Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of The Good, The Bad, The Score. I'm Collin.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we're going to be talking about the Disney Plus original broadcast of the highest grossing Broadway musical, Hamilton. Now, Hamilton tells the story of our forefathers, the forgotten one, Alexander Hamilton, played by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It is the journey of him as an immigrant to all the way up to his untimely death, and you get all the various different founding fathers and political figures that is portrayed by people with different nationalities. And the show has been a smashing success. And now Disney has brought it to their streaming service to where you and anyone else in your family can go watch the full production of Hamilton. Now, Andrew, I'm gonna have you start off. Why should people go out and watch Hamilton on Disney Plus?
Well, you know, one of the reasons why I think people should watch Hamilton is, most importantly, I think one of the big things is the cast. Now, I've had my fair share of seeing Broadway shows throughout my years, but I think the one thing that you can't deny when you go see a good Broadway show is seeing the original cast. There's just nothing like it. I mean, I luckily did get to see the show on Broadway, not with the original cast, which was at that time impossible to go see. While I still enjoyed that show so much, it's one of my favorite Broadway shows, I still wish I got to see the original cast. And now you can see the original cast now in high definition. You can see them up close, and now we can finally say goodbye to the crappy bootleg. Now you don't have to see them that crappy quality. You can see them now in crystal clear TV on the front row seats. I mean, the whole experience is almost like seeing on Broadway in the front row, and it's shot very cinematically too. But talking about the cast though, this cast is incredible. You know, Lin-Manuel Miranda plays Hamilton, Leslie Odom Jr. plays Aaron Burr, you have Renee Goldsberry as Angelica Schuyler, Philippa So as Elijah, his wife, and, you know, everyone in this show is fantastic. Even John McGrath, who plays King George, is really good. People can argue that, you know, Lin-Manuel Miranda steals the show, the Schuyler sisters steal the show, you know, whoever. But to me personally, the whole cast steals the show as a whole. They carried the weight of this show from start to finish, and they all just bring such a unique spin on these historical figures. I even watched the documentary a couple years ago about the whole Hamilton journey of this musical. The way Lin-Manuel envisioned these characters as kind of hip-hop artists, which is, you know, unusual, is actually interesting how they, you know, portray them into like these modern day hip-hop artists. So I think that's something really fascinating to see. The emotional experience that this original cast went through was just incredible. I mean, they're dancing and they're singing super fast at some moments, which is such a challenge to do in a fast-paced show like Hamilton. What Hamilton does, and with this cast, it gives viewers a new way of seeing art differently now. You know, we've been used to seeing art as it is for years now, but the way Hamilton does now, it gives it a brand new approach, and it opens a door to so many viewers when you're watching Hamilton.
So going off of what you were just talking about seeing it live on stage, I think that the idea that this was filmed cinematically, you got close-up shots, wide shots, it's filmed like a movie that's just on a stage, debatably I think is the superior way of watching Hamilton than definitely not the bootleg ones that people recorded. Originally, yes, this is a Broadway show, watch this in a theater, but now, especially with the climate we're in right now to where Broadway is not going to be opening for quite a while, and just also how the show has been on for 5 years. People who wanted to see it got to see it, and now that they've shifted cast, you are losing a little bit of that original, like what made it so great with how many different cast members are coming into each role. The biggest reason you should watch it is just how clear it is to see every little bit of emotions. I remember when I saw it on Broadway, I was up way high in the mezzanines and there was a pole on my way, so imagine watching the show like this. It's quite distracting, and while I absolutely loved it, I still felt like, especially for the monies I paid for it, how expensive the show is. It's so refreshing to see how you have a show that literally it costs thousands of dollars just to get the greatest seat. Now you can watch it for $8 on Disney Plus on the comfort of your own TV with all your friends and family. I think that's something that's I never thought would have happened. I really never thought we would have got to the point where Hamilton, one of the most expensive ticket price shows, is so easily available now for everyone. I think that's truly amazing. And the fact that it is shot so beautifully. The idea that you're getting some things out of it that you couldn't get out of watching it in a theater, like the raw emotions. You get King George III's spit coming out as he's screaming to the audience. You get Eliza screaming during the most heartbreaking moments of the show, and you get Aaron Burr's dumbfounded shock face when something doesn't go his way. It's something that very much is you can go on a comparison of theater versus watching it filmed, but I think one thing that having it filmed has the benefit is just the idea that you get the emotions in every little bit of detail out of the stage production that you couldn't get from any seat in the theater. Now, one of the things that we have yet to talk about, which is the biggest reason why you should watch Hamilton on Disney Plus, is the relevancy it has in our political climate today. And Andrew, I'm gonna throw it to you. How is Hamilton, even after 5 years, probably even more timely than it was back in the day?
It's so crazy. I mean, this was supposed to come out this time around and nothing really was happening. And then when the George Floyd happened, you know, it really gives the show a bigger reason why to watch it. And when you watch this show, you see the founding fathers and a lot of the things that were happening at the time that is still existent to this day, which is the Black Lives Matter. And one of the key lines that Lin-Manuel Miranda uses in one of the songs is, "We'll never be truly free until we end slavery." And still is happening to this day with a lot that's been going on with police brutality and all that. And people are, you know, still marching in the streets because not much has changed. But I think what this show does is that it inspires people to have a voice. And that's one of the things I really enjoy about this show. You know, a lot of Broadway shows has the same typical important messages that you get out of it. But what I felt with Hamilton, the message is to speak for what you feel is right. And I think that what it's trying to do to people, it gives people the understanding as well of how politics worked back then and how much it has changed to this day. There's just so many emotions that you get when you're watching Hamilton. I think it will motivate viewers to take part in modern day politics. I mean, most importantly too, this show really just teaches you the history of this country. There's a lot of people out there that don't really seem to care about history, and there's people out there that want history to be canceled in some ways. But what this show does, it really shows you the things in this country that were good and that were wrong. So, I mean, it really just gives you that motivation to help fight the cause in America today.
Yeah, that's the thing. This show came out at literally the best time possible, for better and worse. Especially how we have all these riots, all these statues of the Founding Fathers being torn down. On Twitter, there's been some controversy of people trying to cancel Hamilton.
Yes, I saw
because
that.
It's glorifying the Founding Fathers. And yet, each one of them are played by a person of color. It's not by the only white dude. I think was King George, and I think there's so much love and update and modern updating to these Founding Fathers that are very original. Which goes into my last point, that you will never have another Hamilton. This is a one-in-a-lifetime kind of musical, to where literally everything about it is like lightning in a bottle. To where you have it to where it's not like the typical Broadway soundtrack where it follows the same beats, it follows those same kind of songs. Like, this is my triumphant song, this is my sad song, this is the tragedy, and it ends with either a wedding or a death. And while it kind of follows that, it doesn't really follow the structure of a normal Broadway play, especially the very final moment. I found it was very unexpected. I thought it was going to be very much more like you get a reprisal of Alexander Hamilton or something. But no, it ends a very emotional note before the curtain call. Lin-Manuel Miranda, he literally changed the game in terms of what you can do on a Broadway stage. This is something that, honestly, every single person out there should go out and watch Hamilton, because it's easily accessible. It teaches you stuff about our Founding Fathers, and it kind of gives you a modern update, and overall, it entertains you. This is such a catchy musical where every single moment someone's singing and dancing, and it is incredibly the way that everything is choreographed. If anything, it's very much something where you need to watch it to get it.
Just go back to what you said with the Twitter thing. I meant to bring that up. Yeah, the whole Twitter controversy. I mean, I just don't. I was reading that today. I just don't get it. I mean, the founding fathers weren't perfect people, as we know now, but it shouldn't defeat the purpose of what Hamilton the musical is trying to go for. I mean, it's a diverse cast, and I mean, I can't help it enough. It's a fantastic musical. I mean, this whole thing now of, so many shows and movies now trying to, people wanting to cancel it because of inaccuracy. I mean, there's always going to be a flaw to every little thing. But it just bugs me when something like Hamilton is getting hyped. There's just a certain group of people out there, opportunists, I guess, that just want to find a way to criticize about it and start a Twitter war over them. This has happened with so many movies, even like Joker, for instance. That was another controversial movie. But it's funny, though, the movies with a lot of controversy and all that stuff are always the ones that do successfully well. So I just don't know what to tell you. Also, when you watch it, watch the credits. They do an amazing job. They don't just recognize the leading cast. They recognize everybody, including the ensemble. And even just the choreography, the dancing, how they gesture things, to get people to understand what's happening is brilliant. That's all I got to say. Just really check this show out. Even if you're not a big musical Broadway person, just check it out. We promise you won't regret it.
Yeah, I think that the idea of people trying to cancel Hamilton comes out of it is so successful. It's so critically acclaimed. You go on Rotten Tomatoes, it has like a 99%, both audience and critics. I think these people are just want to watch the world burn and throw some fire onto a show that is honestly very revolutionary and groundbreaking. Mm-hmm. Not saying that it's a perfect show, not saying that it's the god of Broadway. There's flaws in it. There's different controversies you can bring up and opinions, but overall, this is a show we need right now. Exactly. This is a show to show. This is what we need right now as Americans.
It's a good way of educating people too. I really hope, and I think it has, to get people to really take history seriously. And there's a reason why we need to keep history alive, so people have the knowledge of what the pros and cons were of this country from back then to now.
Well, if we haven't convinced you yet, go out and watch Hamilton on Disney+. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching this latest episode of The Good, The Bad, The Score. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Comment below what your thoughts of both Hamilton and our show. And if you have any other questions or anything, leave them below. Once again, I'm Collin.
And I'm Andrew.
And hopefully we get more of these Broadway shows recorded and easily accessible to the mainstream. See you around.